And we're going to use that as an introduction to a process of teaching in the simple recognition that the demonstration as a teacher of God that you intend to employ in finding new correspondence of decisions that you are making about yourself in regard to what you think you are. Look with me now. These are advanced teachers in the idea of a continuing practice of the Course in Miracles. And they intend to make application of the decision factor that they are involved in the concepts they hold about themselves, in a process of recognition of universal mind, in a procedure of evidence, look with me, of the possibility of an alteration of consciousness, both within the factoring of my own mind, in my belief system. You see this? Look with me. This is a manual for teachers that somewhere within their own mind have made very fundamental acknowledgement that the necessity for choice is actually what the universal mind of both God and your faculty of yourself is. You see that? Let's use the sentence again. Your mind is a mechanism of decision. The entire purpose of the factoring of light that became available to you at that moment was nothing but a continuing alteration of your mind in what you want to see in decisions in this universal mind of light consciousness that you're making in any event. See that with me? We're going to spend the next 18 minutes on the idea of a healing mechanism device of the physicality of your mind in moments of recognition that you are empowered by decision ideas you have about yourself to heal in its entirety the factoring that represents your conceptual self-observation of yourself. Look with me. The activity of demonstration that we will use, beginning right now, in the physiology of our brain, are going to be only the acknowledgments of what you already know is true, in the ideas of the decisions by which you gratify how you feel about yourself. It's not going to be more than less than that. But the idea of how, say for example, healing of your mind is accomplished are going to be a major factor in this simple statement. You listen with me. The power of decision is mine. Now, they call me the master teacher. That's simply an indication that I've decided there must be other choices, which is what my fundamental teaching is, and have decided to practice within the association of my mind, you're going to listen with me, that while I must choose, there's always something else available to me. Come on. The process by which you arrive at the illumination of the body formulation that constitutes your idea of reflected light of self-association. I'm going to teach you for a minute here. Okay, now we'll look at in the healing devices that we are making application of now. We have subjected ourselves within the power to make decisions within our own mind. What we want to see out in the world. Did this require a fundamental admission, anthropically, that all of the decisions we're making in the universe are actually contained within our own mind? Sure. Why not? Does this include ideas that the reflection of light that I'm seeing out there are actually only ideas at the speed of light that constitute views of how I'm looking at myself in the conception of myself, and are actually only reflections of what I have already determined to see. All right? Now, let's look at healing from a moment, from the idea now. Here I am going to be this advanced teacher. Sentence, I am healed and whole as I was created. Now, the statement that that is true need not in any regard actually employ the entirety of my belief that it is true. Look with me. But looked at it from the very fundamental perspective that somewhere out in the universe there is a single source of entirety of the power of mind reality, could not be making available to me the choice to discover that within my own mind, regardless of the condition in which I find myself. Now, but in order to employ it, I need to look at the reasonableness of the idea that the factor of choice, look with me, is actually in my mind. And that out in this universe, the power of decision that I am already employing to determine outcomes that I want in my own correspondence, that almost virtually subsequently disappoint me in the association of the factoring of my mind in what I want to see, can show me, if I share the teacher's manual, the idea of how healing is actually accomplished, because it's going to be the power of your mind. And you listen with me now to what this is going to see about the new evidence of the discovery of the youth and vitality that have become a part of what you are. It isn't difficult conceptually, but it may be momentarily difficult for your fear of the simplicity of the exercising of power of decisional choice that is actually yours. This is why we have mind training. This is why so many millions of you now, in the admonition of the necessity for self-recognition, are discovering to their amazement that each time they make a new application in the simple admission that they no longer are gratified by the choice to retain definition of themselves, there's an increase in frequency of what's actually available to them in the light. Listen with me. How is healing accomplished? Healing is accomplished the instant the sufferer no longer sees any value in pain. Who would choose suffering unless he thought it brought him something, and something of value to him? He must think it's a small price to pay for something of greater worth. You listening to me now? Sickness is an election. It's a decision. It's the choice of weakness in the mistaken conviction that it is strength. When this occurs, real strength is seen as threat and health as danger. Sickness is a method conceived in madness for placing God's Son on his Father's throne. And God is seen as outside. He's fierce and he's powerful and he's eager to keep all power for himself. And only by his death can he be conquered by his Son. Look together. And what does this insane conviction, does healing actually stand for? It symbolizes the defeat of God's Son and the triumph of his Father over him. It represents the ultimate defiance in a direct form which the Son of God is forced to recognize. It stands for all that he would hide from himself to protect this little life. If he is healed, he's going to be responsible for his thoughts. And if he is responsible for his thoughts, he will be killed to prove to him how weak and pitiful he is. But if he chooses death himself, his weakness is his strength. Now has he given himself what God would give to him, and thus entirely usurped the throne of God. And we're going to be dealing in a moment about how can perceptions of orders of difficulty be avoided